Hands-on, using the step-by-step approach to create an icon. I'm going to guide you through a step-by-step process on how to create an awesome camera icon in Photoshop. This is a custom graphic you might want to use in a website design. We'll cover custom graphics in more detail a bit further down the road. This is pretty easy to replicate, but the video is not intended to be a follow-along. Instead, I recommend you first try and create the camera graphic by yourself without the help of this video, and only after that you should watch this lecture. It will make a big difference if you do it that way. Then create an identical replica of what I'm about to do. The video is going to be fast-paced, so we don't spend hours on it. I suggest you watch it once to understand the essence of it, and then when you want to replicate it, make sure you pause frequently. Okay, let's get started. Step 1. Document settings and the background. Make a new project with the following settings. Width and height 1000 pixels. Drag into your project this and this image that you can find on unsplash.com. When you place them, make sure you enlarge them substantially so they go outside your canvas both horizontally and vertically. Then apply a generous Gaussian blur of 125 pixels. Repeat the process for the second image. For the layer on top, lower the opacity to 80%. If you see any white parts, that means you should further enlarge your images, either directly with Ctrl-T or by going back before you applied your Gaussian blur. Add a hue saturation adjustment layer with the following values. Hue 312, saturation 59, lightness 0, colorize is checked. Our background is done. Feel free to remove the initial background layer. Step 2. The icon base and texture. For the icon base, we'll use the rounded rectangle tool. Click once on the canvas and input these settings. Width and height 512 pixels. Radius 90 pixels. Place the rectangle in the center of the canvas and use the following layer styles. Bevel and emboss. Style inner bevel. Technique smooth. Depth 100%. Direction up. Size 32 pixels. Soften 11 pixels. Angle 120 degrees. Altitude 30 degrees. Highlight mode screen. Color FF, FF, FF. Opacity 75%. Shadow mode multiply. Color 818181. Opacity 24%. Stroke size 3 pixels. Position inside. Blend mode normal. Opacity 100%. Fill type color E3 E3 E3. Gradient overlay. Blend mode normal. Opacity 100%. Gradient from 747474 to DD DD DD. Angle 90 degrees. For the bottom part, we'll use a nice leather texture that you can download from here. Put it above our main rectangle. Hold Ctrl and click on its thumbnail to make a selection. Then add a layer mask. Now our icon has a nice texture on its bottom half. For this layer, we'll add the following layer styles. Bevel and emboss. Contour should be set at 50%. Style inner bevel. Technique smooth. Depth 10%. Direction up. Size 5 pixels. Soften 0 pixels. Angle 120 degrees. Altitude 30 degrees. Highlight mode screen. Color FF, FF, FF. Opacity 45%. Shadow mode multiply. Color 000000. Opacity 75%. Inner glow blend mode screen. Opacity 15%. Color FF FF FF. Technique softer. Source center. Choke 0%. Size 207 pixels. Satin. Blend mode multiply. Color 000000. Angle 0 degrees. Distance 9 pixels. Size 103 pixels. Drop shadow blend mode normal. Opacity 43%. Angle minus 90 degrees. Distance 2 pixels. Spread 0%. Size 0 pixels. Step 3. The lens. Start out with a circle of 384 by 384 pixels. Center it on the icon and apply the following layer styles. Stroke, size 10 pixels. Position inside. Blend mode normal. Opacity 100%. Fill type gradient 000000. Location 0%. 5F, 5E, 5E. Location 34%. 000000. Location 73%. 5F, 5E, 5E. Location 100%. Style linear. Angle 90 degrees. Outer glow blend mode normal. Opacity 34%. Color FF, FF, FF. Technique precise. Size 2 pixels. Let's add some text to our outer circle. I'll write "This looks great.net camera icon" with the following settings. Font Roboto Light. Size 13 pixels. Tracking 60. With a gradient overlay from 969696 to FFFFFF. Warp the text with these settings. Style arc. Horizontal. Bend minus 54%. It depends on the amount of text. Horizontal and vertical distortion 0%. Repeat the process for the top text but change the bend to plus 20%. Next, we'll create a series of circles to create more detail. Circle 1. 311 by 311 pixels. Color 222222. Outer glow. Blend mode normal. Opacity 34%. Color FF, FF, FF. Technique precise. Size 2 pixels. Circle 2. 304 by 304 pixels. Color 222222. Stroke. Size 2 pixels. Position inside. Blend mode normal. Opacity 100%. Fill type color CE, CE, CE. Circle 3. 299 by 299 pixels. Color 222222. Bevel and emboss. Style inner bevel. Technique smooth. Depth 1000%. Direction up. Size 4 pixels. Soften 0 pixels. Angle minus 90 degrees. Altitude 30 degrees. Highlight mode screen. Color FFFFFF. Opacity 32%. Gradient overlay. Blend mode normal. Opacity 100%. Color 272727. To 3E, 3E, 3E. Reverse checked. Style linear. Angle 90 degrees. Circle 4. 256 by 256 pixels. Color 222222. Inner shadow. Blend mode multiply. Color 000000. Opacity 75%. Angle -90 degrees. Distance 5 pixels. Choke 0%. Size 16 pixels. Drop shadow, blend mode normal. Color FF, FF, FF. Angle 90 degrees. Distance 1 pixel. Spread 0%. Size 3 pixels. Circle 5. 235 by 235 pixels. Color 222222. Inner shadow. Blend mode multiply. Color 000000. Opacity 75%. Angle -90 degrees. Distance 5 pixels. Choke 0%. Size 16 pixels. Purple effect. 225 by 225 pixels. Color 222222. Bevel and emboss. Style inner bevel. Technique smooth. Depth 1000%. Direction up. Size 5 pixels. Soften 0 pixels. Angle 90 degrees. Altitude 30 degrees. Highlight mode screen. Opacity 0%. Shadow mode multiply. Color 8E19BA. Opacity 75%. Stroke. Size 14 pixels. Position inside. Blend mode normal. Opacity 100%. Fill type gradient. C011E6. Location 0%. C259D2. Location 11%. 9C26AE. Location 21%. 3C0245. Location 100%. Style linear. Angle 90 degrees. Blue effect 1. 197 by 197 pixels. Color 222222. Bevel and emboss. Style inner bevel. Technique smooth. Depth 1000%. Size 5 pixels. Soften 10 pixels. Angle 90 degrees. Altitude 30 degrees. Highlight mode screen. Opacity 0%. Shadow mode multiply. Color 284CE5. Opacity 75%. Stroke. Size 9 pixels. Position inside. Blend mode normal. Opacity 100%. Fill type gradient 10B9F1 to 051737. Style linear. Angle 90 degrees. Inner shadow. Blend mode multiply. Opacity 75%. Angle 120 degrees. Distance 5 pixels. Size 29 pixels. Satin. Blend mode multiply. Opacity 50%. Angle 0 degrees. Distance 11 pixels. Size 35 pixels. Blue effect 2. It has the same settings as the first one except the size, which is 180 by 180 pixels. Interior circle. Size 166 by 166 pixels. Bevel and emboss. Same as for Blue effect 2 layer. Stroke, size 15 pixels. Position inside. Blend mode normal. Opacity 100%. Fill type gradient 02304F to 0A357B. Style linear. Angle 90 degrees. Inner shadow blend mode multiply. Opacity 75%. Angle 120 degrees. Distance 5 pixels. Size 29 pixels. Satin, same as for Blue Effect 2 layer. Gradient overlay, blend mode normal. Color from 000A14 to 0048BF. Opacity 100%. Style linear. Angle 90 degrees. After that's done, we're going to convert this layer into a smart object. And then we'll add a lens flare effect. 50 to 300mm zoom. Shutter. Create an octagon by using the polygonal tool and set its size to 60 by 60 pixels. Gradient overlay, blend mode normal. Opacity 100%. Color from 000000 to 282828. Style linear. Angle 90 degrees. Then use the line tool set at 1 pixel to create 8 lines around the interior circle. Once you're happy, merge them all together, lower the opacity to 40% and change the blending mode to soft light. Finish up this area by adding a 25 pixel circle with a color of 090C10. Step 4. The finishing touches. Create a 299 by 299 pixel black circle. Lower the opacity to 68%, change the blending mode to overlay and add a layer mask. Swipe a few times until you get a similar result. Create a 265 by 265 pixel white circle. Lower the fill to 40%, change the blending mode to color dodge and add a layer mask. Swipe a few times until you get a similar result. Create a 292 by 292 pixel white circle. Lower the opacity to 10% and raise it up until the bottom part touches the bottom part of the octagon. Then hold Ctrl and click on Circle 3's thumbnail to make a selection. And then add a layer mask. Remember, you need to have the original layer selected. Create a rounded rectangle 524 by 27 pixels with a radius of 10 pixels. Then add a 10 pixel Gaussian blur and position it above our background layer. And we're done. Let's take another look at our final result. So now that you've watched me create this icon, it's time you rewind the video, pause it frequently, and replicate the camera. It's one thing to watch me do it, it's another to create it for yourself. So please take the time to perform this exercise. All the values you've seen me put in I got from trial and error. Of course, I left that out so we could shorten the video. Good luck with it.